My name is Allison Kohley. I'm a graduate student at Western Michigan University, and this is part of my thesis. So the topic is Changing Continuity, Native American and Euro-American Settlement Patterns in the St. Joseph River Valley. What I'm going to go over today is the introduction, historical overview, my research questions, methodology and data collection, a brief discussion of my results, and then summary conclusions, and then the next steps that I'll be taking. And then the map right here that you can see, this is the area of interest I worked in involving the St. Joseph River Valley. It does extend farther than these 6 counties, but these are the most central portions. So you have Berrien, Cass, and St. Joseph in Michigan, and then the St. Joseph, Elkhart, and LaGrange in Indiana. The purpose of this study is to increase the current comprehension of changing continuity in Native American and Euro-American settlement patterns in the St. Joseph River Valley in the periods immediately prior to, during, and after the abandonment of Fort St. Joseph through the use of GIS. And I'll go into a brief talk about the fort as well. The significance of the study is to spatially show and understand the placement of archaeological sites within the valley in relation to Fort St. Joseph, which you can see right here. And then these are the amount of sites that I've collected from the states. I collected 62 from Indiana, 153 from Michigan, to make a grand total of 215. Out of the 215, I actually ended up only using 177 due to some of them I could not assign temporally or culturally. So they had to be removed. For the historical overview, it's assigned into 3 periods. There's a pre-fort, which contains the late woodland period and then contact period from 600 to 1690 AD, the occupation of Fort St. Joseph, which is from 1691 to 1781. This includes occupation with the French, the British, and actually with the Spanish for a very, very short period of time. And then the abandonment of the fort, which also includes the removal period of Native Americans in the area, and that's from 1782 to 1850. For my research questions, I focused on how are Native American and Euro-American settlements distributed during each time period. Do the Native American and Euro-American settlement distributions exhibit change? And third, how were the Native American and Euro-American settlements distributed in relation to the main portion of the St. Joseph River, Fort St. Joseph, and Lake Michigan? And lastly, did the fort have an impact upon the Native American settlement distributions? For my methodology and data collection, archival work with archaeological sites led to the collection and digitization of the locations of the settlements. This included going to the Michigan and Indiana state site files and collecting them. Creation of an extensive database, and then each site was classified by a specific time period and cultural affiliation, which again 38 had to be removed. And then the sites and database were imported into ArcMap, and analytical processes were begun. And then I analyzed and interpreted the information. And then I also divided up, because of the variations between archaeological sites, they were assigned either a magnitude of 1, 2, or 3, given by their influence upon other sites within the area. So a classification of 1 would be an isolate or a scatter, which could be just an arrowhead or just a flake. And for that count, there were 73. And then for 2, it included camps, agricultural fields, and mills, which would be more of a temporary habitation. And I had 92 sites for that. And then a 3 was assigned only to villages, forts, and trading posts. And then I collected 50 of that as well. And so you'll see this is going to flip through on the side. It's animated, it's a bit slow, but this will give you an idea of how the distributions change. We'll go through the fort period and then the post-fort. The star represents Fort St. Joseph. And as you can see, the variation of size determines the magnitude. So the red is indicated of the Euro-Americans and the brown are the Native American sites. And this just helps you to see them visually move across the landscape. As you can see, it starts off with a couple appeared in the fort, spread out with the Euro-Americans. The Native Americans get And then again, you see us spreading out between both countries. And just to simplify, this is busy, but for those that don't like the animations, this is the Native American sites going from pre-fort, fort to post-fort. The Euro-American sites right here, and then both of them combined to again give you a better indication of what's going on. So you can see the Native American sites are spread across the region pretty reasonably. And then the Euro-Americans in the pre-fort, there were only 2 sites up in this very corner here at the mouth of the river. And then you get into the fort period, and you can see that there's 9 Native American sites. Part of that is due to the time periods because there's such a great variation between the huge amount of time that goes from the pre-fort to the fort period. And the fort's only 100 years, or a little less than, so that's part of the influence. And you can see right here with the fort and the Euro-American sites. And then you continue down and you see, again, a little bit more Native American sites spread out and a lot more going on with the Euro-Americans. And so for the results discussion again, this is going to actually show the median features. The orange-yellow triangle right here represents the center of the study area to give you an idea of the area. The brown is indicating the Native Americans, and the red will be the Euro-Americans as it flips through again. So as you can see, the Euro-Americans are right here, and the natives right here. And then when it flips again, you'll see they actually both move in very close, if not on top of the Fort St. Joseph, showing that there may have been an influence, but as you can see to the third one, the Native American median center is in a relatively similar area throughout all 3 time periods. But the Euro-American one continues to move through the valley. And then again, this is the still slide, so the animations were a bit busy. So again, you can see them moving through the areas. And then just to show in detail a bit more about the sites. So this table, both of these represent the monocytes by each cultural affiliation through the different time periods. So for the pre-fort, you only have 2 Euro-American sites, which are at the mouth of the river, and 105 Native American for a grand total of 107. For the fort period, you have 12 Euro-American sites and 9 Native American for a grand total of 21. And then for the post-fort, you have 24 for Euro-American and 25 for Native American for a total of 49. And that leads up to a total of 177 because of the amount left out from the 215. And so this going into a little bit more, so these are the buffers that I created around the different features, including the fort, the river, and the lake. And these are showing the average distances of all the sites to the particular feature. So for this one, it is Fort St. Joseph. So the red line indicates the Euro-American average distance to the fort from all the sites during each time period, and the brown orange color represents the Native Americans. And then I also have a table telling you the exact distances as well. What you're looking for right here is that you can see the Native Americans do move in during the fort period, and the Euro-Americans actually maintain a pretty large distance around the fort, where the Native Americans move slightly inward and then outward again between the 3 periods. And then an animation again to kind of visually help see the changes. So you go from the pre-fort period to the fort period where the Native Americans seem to move inward, and then again outward by the post-fort period. And then this was the buffer created around the river. So as you can see, the red is again showing the Euro-Americans, and the brown is the Native Americans. And the Euro-Americans were very close to the river. You have to keep in mind there were only 2 sites again up at the corner of the mouth of the river, and they were very close to it. And then during the fort period, you can see that they're about the same distance from the river, perhaps indicating more usage of it. And then, but both of them were around the same distance. And then again, here you see that the Euro-Americans are close to the river, and the Native Americans are a bit further. But the 3 distances for the Native Americans is pretty similar. And again, the animations to help visualize this. From the pre-fort period to the fort period, and And again, the star represents Fort St. Joseph, and then the place for it. So for the next one, it is the area around from Lake Michigan. So the red line, which can be very hard to see, but they were also very close to the lake for the Freeport, for the Euro-Americans. And the Native Americans, you can see, have a wide group over here. And then you go down to the Fort period, and they're a little bit closer together, and both are about the same distance from the lake. And then right here, you see a little bit of a change, and the Euro-Americans are pulling further inward, and the Native Americans are still about the same distance. And then again, for the animation to help show it, helps visualize the changes as it moves outward. Primarily with the Euro-Americans of this one, the Native Americans, you don't see much change. And then this is just a table showing the exact distances that I was just showing with the buffers. So for the St. Joseph River buffer, for the Euro-Americans, you can see the distance increases greatly during the fort, and then it goes down a little bit at the post-fort period, but not much. And you can see a large amount of distance right here. They do move inward a bit and then outward again. And then with Fort St. Joseph, again, you see a huge distance for the Euro-Americans, surprisingly. And then with the Native Americans, you see a great difference when they move inward towards the fort period, and then outward again. And then with Lake Michigan, you can see the Euro-Americans moving outward, and the Native Americans tend to keep about the same distance, relatively, from the lake. So for summary and conclusions, try to keep it brief for everybody. Changes in the spatial distributions of the settlements may be seen in the study, but further research is necessary to help explain causation. The river and lake played large roles in the expansion of Euro-Americans into the valley, and Native Americans were distributed rather evenly with the river and lake during most of the periods. Fort St. Joseph, you could see with the median features, was built in a location that was centrally located within the valley, and actually pretty centrally located to where the Native Americans seem to be inhabiting through all time periods, and compared to the Euro-Americans that seem to move throughout the valley. So my next steps, which I've just completed, was to do a gravity model using a Huff model tool for clusters around the fort and other sites, and then statistical analyses of environmental factors. And I'd like to acknowledge the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office, the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, my committee, the Geography Department at Western, and my friend Carl for some help. And then, if you have any questions? And thank you. Yes.
So it's, particularly in your early maps, it looked like between the pre-fort period and the fort period, it really looked like the Native American populations were moving towards the fort area. They were clustering more around the fort location. I guess you have a theory as to what's going on there. Is that just sampling bias because of the short time frame? Is that some cultural influence, or is it just random stuff?
I think it has to do with a little bit of both. I think definitely the time frame does have an impact upon that, but the fort was also has also been documented to be the fourth largest fur trading center in New France. So there was a lot of trade going to and from the fort, and so I've been working with Dr. Massani, who focuses on the fort, and even though this doesn't show a direct causation, it does help to explain that perhaps it was influencing them, because you do see a movement towards the fort, because trade will be easier if you're closer to it than having to travel long distances. And even though they were semi-nomadic and moving during different time periods through the seasons, they still were probably orienting themselves slightly closer if they knew that they can trade and get those goods back. So that's what we're hoping to see. And hopefully further research can help explain that further. And with the Huff gravity model too, which I just completed, it does show from the probabilities that the fort was the most likely out of the 9 Native American sites to be the most attractive site. So it does show that there was some influence, but you do have to consider the time frame. That definitely does lead to a bias, without a doubt, because of the short amount of time there is. So. Any other questions? Yes.
Was the influence of the lake stronger than the influence on the river itself?
We don't think so. From what I've determined, it doesn't seem to be. But again, this is very preliminary. People could continue to do further studies on this. With the lake, that was actually my advisor's advice because she wanted to see what the results of the lake would be because I was focusing primarily with the river. But probably the lake was influential because, especially with the Euro-Americans, with them moving into the valley and probably from Canada and downward, they probably did move from the mouth of the river towards the lake and inward. So, because water was a great source of travel